Welcome back to the second half of our conversation this evening as we continue with this evening's edition of The Chair on STV Real TV. Counting down to the general election. Our very special guest this evening, as I said, Honorable Minister of Health, Dr. Fuad Khan, and indeed our panel has been taking him through the paces. So I will step aside once again and allow the conversation to continue in the second half of The Chair on STV.
Good night.
Dr. Khan, Renarco Williams, PNM National Youth League. My question tonight is, in recent months, there have been a number of sod turnings to start new hospitals, many of which to date haven't started as yet. All right? Also, in addition to this, there are the existing hospitals that there are issues in terms of lack of beds. We see in Mount Hope where we have issues all the time with babies and these things. Why is so much emphasis being put on these new units, right? They haven't started as yet. We have an election right around the corner. Is it an election gimmick, or is it real and substantial progress in the health sector?
Okay, a lot of the hospitals that have been sod turning now, they have started what they call mobilization too. The contractors are already on site and cleaning the ground and making the place ready for starting to construct. Now, most of those hospitals, I would say, let's say River Hospital is what they call a government-to-government arrangement with the Chinese government. Then you have the Point 14 Hospital, which is a government-to-government arrangement with the Austrian government. And I'll take two of those. And how it works, it takes, as I say, the conceptualization of the hospital initially takes place. That takes a couple of months. Then you have to do what they call a user brief. The user brief determines exactly what the hospital look like, what you want in the hospital, how much beds, etc. And after that, you have to go to design, build, construct phase. Before you get a loan from a government, Foreign Affairs gets involved. The Chinese government, in this case, will get involved. It goes to what they call the Chinese Development Bank, where they study. It takes almost about a year or so for the Ministry of Finance to get the finance arrangements being done.
So
it takes a while.
You're saying that the sod has been turned, but we haven't allocated the funds yet?
No, it's not. I turned the sod when I was ready to build.
So the funds are ready?
When I turned the sod, I was ready building the next day.
Okay.
I never turned sod before I was ready to build. That was one of my philosophies. And I'm not turning sod until you're ready to build the hospital. And the day I turned the sod, the next day they started.
Do you think that we have enough nurses or qualified potential nurses in the system to outfit these units when completed?
Well, you see, if you're locked in to the present or the past, you're going to say no. If you have a vision for the future, you have to understand why these hospitals are being built and why. These hospitals are going to be built according to what they call the joint accreditation standards of the international arena. When that happens, you're going to have what they call training centers in Trinidad and Tobago, attracting people from abroad to train here. All right, and in that interim part of it, we are developing nurses at the academy, but you'll need a lot of more advanced nurses. And if you could throw your mind back a little bit, I passed what they call the Nursing Personnel Act. The Nursing Personnel Act is a change of the Nursing and Midwives Act from the 1960s. It was passed about a year and a half, 2 years ago. It will allow nurses to come into the system of a specialized nature. So it will, as they say, work in these hospitals. The hospital will take about 3 years to build. So in that interim period, you will get the human resource moving forward. Our nurses in Trinidad and Tobago no longer just RNs. They're now what they call BSc nurses. Then they're going on to specialized nursing arrangements. If you want to attract international things and international people to Trinidad and Tobago, you have to put the substrate and the foundation for it. The hospitals that we have now, let's say Port of Spain Hospital, Mount Hope Hospital, etc., they were built, I think Port of Spain is 150 years old or whatever it may be. The central block is shaking. We have to change that. So I have the British government looking at the Port of Spain site to produce what they call a hospital city, a medical city for hospital training and everything else. That's been done. And Mount Hope is just so much you can do in Mount Hope anymore. And Mount Hope was not built for general medicine. It was built as a tertiary level center for tertiary level services. That, by opening it out, we've lost the ability to do tertiary level, high level research development, etc. That's why Mount Hope beds are 200.
If I may interject for a second, Minister. Right? A recent article stated that the Honorable Minister, the only thing he can excel at is pushing things under the mat. Right? That being said,
Right.
why are some of the hospital staff not getting full compensation in terms of back pay? And also, why not institute overtime allowance for all hospital staff instead of doctors only? Because it can be said that it's being a bias because you're a doctor and you all have a fraternity. So why it is that these people are not getting that kind of treatment?
Your question has now shown the misconception in the whole country. That is not so. Everything that you've said is incorrect. Doctors get overtime, so too nurses, so too escorts, so too everybody else, daily paid workers, everybody get overtime. I've published on the papers over the weekend what the terms of the arrangement that the public service and the RHAs are going to get. Remember, in the last couple of months, you have the PSA walking about, the nurses walking about, everybody indicating they want their money now. They have gotten 14% to start. That's going to start this month. All right, and the thing about the arrears are close to $100,000. Some arrears arrears of a cleaner is about $50,000. They all get overtime. The nurses have what they call a pool system, where they put the name in this pool and they are allowed more overtime that way when there are shortage around the system. They are chosen. That pool rate is, I think, about $75 per hour. So it's not just the doctors get overtime. In fact, the doctors overtime, right, after 20 hours, if you calculate doctors overtime, you'd see that they're not working for no great set of money in the public service. The CPO determines the salaries, the overtime, the system. The CPO does the chief personnel officer. We don't. We just go according to the CPO arrangements. And
so what about the state-of-the-art equipment, medical equipment?
What about it?
Right, and why are there so many insufficient medicine to treat patients and illnesses?
Insufficient medicine?
Yeah. What about the baby mortality rate? What about those issues?
Mortality rate.
Because in Singapore, right, there's treated 100,000. In Barbados, 10 to 100,000. But in Trinidad, 20 to 100,000. Can you explain that?
Very easy.
What?
Very easy. Mm-hmm. In Trinidad and Tobago, they count things that are not supposed to be counted on an international scale. I brought in UNICEF here to show them how they count things. We count a 14-week stillbirth as an infant mortality. We count babies who do not have any gas, they don't gasp, as an infant mortality. We count things that are not supposed to be counted. I'll tell you why. Port of Spain, San Fernando, Eric Williams, and Sandy Grande all had different methods of counting. You could count infant mortality when you're 500 grams and 26 weeks. Anything above that or below that is not counted as an infant mortality. We count them. We have counted, and I've looked at the files, as I say, a 14-week-old stillbirth is put on, yes, infant mortality. So obviously, when you do that type of counting, you're going to get a data that is skewed. Barbados doesn't count it like that. Singapore doesn't count like that. Neither does Norway. So what I'm saying to you, the new counting system, which I've put in place in the last year, because I had UNICEF look at it properly, will show a different figure. And that is not sweeping things on the carpet. That is counting based on international standards.
Okay. Good night, Dr.
Good night.
Khan. Caroline Ford, Director of Youth Ambassadors. I have 3 quick questions for you, as I always ask my questions in 3s. Firstly, I need quick answers because we're on time, right? Firstly, I have been checking out ministers of lately, and the present and current ministers always bring the Honorable Mr. Griffith, Gary Griffith's name, always saying, well, he had this and he had that in policies. Is it that the People's Partnership is missing Gary Griffith?
I am.
Or is it that his work was actually good?
I think it's
you're
good.
really missing him? Because everyone always brings up his name. When he was this, he did that. And so is it that you're missing him?
I am.
You are? Okay.
Gary's my very good friend.
Okay,
and I think he was a
good.
very good Minister of National Security.
Okay, thanks very much.
I always remembered him with his shades on in front of the Red House.
In the past 5 years, how often do your Prime Minister, our Prime Minister and her cabinet members meet on a personal level to discuss things for us in the country, apart from Parliament and these normal things? Like if you all meet on a friend, like how we will go out and let's discuss what we're doing for the next 2 months, or let's discuss the more important things. How often do you all meet on personal level to discuss the government of the Trinidad and Tobago public?
Every week.
every week, once a week. So in
and
your
also
once
twice a week,
over the 2 years of this
and
discussing
also
with
twice
her,
a week in Parliament.
Okay, so over the 2 years that you said you went to her with the legislation, you had to purchase some equipment. We're spending billions on this road, on this highway. Don't you think that the equipment is more important to purchase than the road at this time?
Could you do both? The problem with the highway is not the problem with equipment. The highway is going ahead. But at the end of
the highway is more priority than...
No, they both are priorities. You don't have...
For
in a government and a cabinet, right? Mm-hmm. You can't say this is one priority, then you also go in one direction.
But right now, you all are making things priority as it's an election. We're getting food cards, we're getting baby grants. The clinics are open till 9 p.m. While I'm on that topic, is it true that...
The clinics have been open to 9 p.m. for a year now or more.
Okay, is it true that close to when the election is finished, is that going to stop, or you're going to continue
Why should it stop? I hope that any government that comes in afterwards does not stop it.
Well, thanks very much for playing it up.
Yeah.
Hi, good night.
Hi.
Leah Bristol here from Youth Ambassador TT. My question is pretty simple. As the health minister, you would say that you've made improvements in the system and whatnot. So, if you needed medical attention that you had to go to hospital for, would you go to a public hospital?
I would go to a public hospital.
You would go sit down in casualty?
Yeah, I would.
Have you ever been to a public hospital?
Yes, I have.
You have?
Yeah.
As the Minister of Health?
Yeah.
For treatment?
Yeah, many.
And you sat in casualty. They treated you as a normal.
I didn't sit in casualty. I can't lie about that.
Okay, why? Well, okay. That's my point exactly.
When they recognized me, when they said I was pulled in right away.
So you don't think it was fair to go through what people go through to really understand what? Well, personally,
I understand. I'm
right.
a doctor.
Right.
I have scrubbed the bench and sat down already.
Right.
And waited. Once I had to see about my eyes, right? I was having conjunctivitis, and the doctor made me sit down until the last patient was seen, and then I was seen then.
Okay, and one more question. If your wife or anyone in your family was to have a baby, you would allow them to go to Mount Hope and have this baby?
I would. You know why? It's the safest place.
It's the safest place?
Believe it or not.
Because of your family, because you just said
that
when they saw you didn't have to sit down and wait in casualty. So I'm saying I believe your family would get the best treatment.
Well, I know you're going to say that. I know you're going to say that.
No, it's the truth. You just said it.
It's not the truth. What I'm saying to you, the public health system, when the private health system cannot handle it anymore, there's a serious problem, they send it to the public health system.
Right.
So the public health system is the best system.
It is, but you didn't answer my question. Don't you think that they would give your family particular treatment, knowing that? So don't tell me it's the best system when coming to you. Is it the best system when coming to the public?
Where you say you're from again?
Where I'm from?
Neela Massey.
Youth Ambassador TT.
Youth Ambassador?
Yes.
Where you are, you don't get preference?
Come again?
Where you are, where you work, do you get preference?
Not really, no. Why would I get preference?
You sure?
I'm positive.
I'm sure you do, but you're not going to say
Why would you say that?
Because anybody who works in a place, university or wherever you are, if they do get preference. Yes, you do.
Okay, not to my known, but okay.
Check it next time.
Go with that. But okay, that's basically it.
Yes, sure.
Dr. Khan, Kendall Vincent. Dr. Khan, Kendall Vincent, Youth Ambassadors, TT. My question, recently, there were there were a certain level of controversy. One such issue was the Cheryl Miller issue. The employee at the Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development, the Cheryl Miller issue. Did you think that corrective steps were taken, seeing that, the newspaper quoted you as saying that after the court handed down the judgment, in terms of when she got whatever the sum of money was, you indicated that you're basically challenging the courts or taking it further. What is the status of that? And
I don't want to speak too much about that because it's going to be part of a court case. All right? It's going to be justice system. I'll tell you something though. But if I let that lie, right? And I think what the doctors and what the mental officers did was totally correct. I have to go to as high as I can, even the Privy Council, to show what is correct in my view. That's my right as a Minister of Health. If I let that lie, no mental health officer could pick up anybody in Trinidad again indefinitely. So if you call somebody to your house, right, and that person comes to your house to take up a mentally ill patient who may be violent or etc., I'm not saying about the case, they cannot take that patient again because they run the risk of this same thing happening. And there's a lot more to that case that was not looked at properly, that I know. You follow what I'm saying? And I need to get to the highest level, and I said I'll carry it to the Privy Council because I need to protect the mental health people in this country. And that case, as it stands, with the decision, if I pay it off, as they say, and don't do anything about it, no mental health officer will pick up a patient in this country again. You can't.
One more quick question. We obviously is a couple of weeks before election, a couple of days before nomination day. What do you think has been your greatest achievement as the minister? What do you think has been your greatest achievement as the Member of Parliament for Barataria, San Juan, and as the Minister of Health?
All right, greatest achievement for Barataria, San Juan. I must have been doing something right because they voted me 5 times, and this hopefully will be 6th. We've developed the constituency to a nice level. Of course, there are other problems as drainage, etc., infrastructure. I think the constituency is a much better place than it was 20 years ago when I started, and I could say that. To define one achievement is going to be difficult. There are quite a lot of big achievements. I could always say the San Juan market is what we worked on with John Radsing and myself, and we got that going, and also a couple of the community centers, a couple of the other centers that are pavilions. I mean, if you go through that, that's like infrastructure works. The human resource part of it, we've done a lot with the jobs, and I'll go through the rhetoric that we normally tend to do as politicians, but it has been better. As the Minister of Health, my greatest achievement.
One single biggest greatest achievement as Minister of Health. Will your legacy then?
I don't do legacy projects, but at the end of the day, when you look at it, it's the first time you've gotten all that systems in place. I could go into intracerebral coilings, but my biggest, what I feel about is the best thing I've ever done, was change the Nursing Act in this country to open up this system to a better cadre of nurse, which is the advanced practice nurse. The advanced practice nurse will be, once the regulations are passed, will be able to act as what they call doctors to some level in the area. But I think that's a great achievement. That's like something that will live on. And I think, you may differ, the health card is going to live on, where medical records in this country would not be lost again. People could transport it to wherever they're going worldwide. And I think that is something that is going to be good eventually.
Okay, we just about 9 minutes before the top of the hour, and before we wrap up this program. So we're in the final stretch here. I'm not going to take another break. I'm just going to kind of give you all the notice that we're in that 9-minute stretch. So I know a lot of you have not yet gotten a chance to contribute. So let's open up the floor and get the questions flowing as we continue. More from our panel as they continue to dialogue with Mr. Khan.
So I'll try to keep it short. But on February 5th, 2014, on the matter of blood donations from men who have sex with men, you were quoted in the news there saying people have to be concerned there is a higher incidence of HIV among those in the population who have engaged in that type of activity, and stated that it was in keeping with international practice, even though many countries and international health organizations disagree with banning them from donating blood. Has your stance changed on that issue, and can you describe what is your reasoning for your stance?
What I'm saying is that we check all blood for HIV, all right, or HIV antibodies, etc. If I have no problem of anybody giving blood but Trinidad and Tobago, the system and the policies that are in place is very stringent. And as Minister of Health, I have to carry those policies forward. Changing those policies, I would like to change them because blood donation in this country is at an all-time low. Not because people don't want to give blood, because the system is very, very strained. And we are changing that system of the blood bank blood transfusion to make it easier on a 24-hour basis. Hopefully that will change it. As far as your concern is concerned, I have no problem with who wants to give blood once we test it properly.
Hi, good night, Dr. Khan.
Hi, good night.
My name is Shantz Marie Andrews from Take Back TT. I have 2 questions for you. One, what are your plans for dental health in the system at the moment, especially dental nurses and dental hygienists? And 2, what also are your plans for abortion, as you were speaking about earlier, how you all have different means of counting infants? Then is there a standard in terms of abortion and different circumstances regarding such?
Okay, first question, dental health. I've been moving forward with dental health for the last couple of years, trying to open up more and more dental health systems in the health offices, where one could get the x-rays and dental plans and programs. The chief dental officer has a plan where we have to decentralize dental health into the RHAs as compared to the Ministry of Health. It's what we call a vertical system controlled on the Ministry of Health. It's not working. So what we want to do is to put it into the regional health authorities' hands so they could hire dentists and hire staff, hire dental hygienists, easier than if you have to go through a public service hiring system. That is on the cards together with a lot more for dental health. I'm also looking at a mobile dental health units to move around the country. So that is for dental health as I speak. The other part of it, abortion, I remember growing up and seeing a lot of young girls going to backstreet abortionists. They die because they get spokes and curl hangers placed into them, saline solution, etc. And I always have I always believe that we should take steps to stop that, be it legislative or otherwise. It is not as a Minister of Health, my policy has to follow that of the government. As a member of parliament, I could advocate for safer methods of conception for women. But to say, give you a direct answer about my views and personal views, when you're a public figure, you don't have personal views. You have to go according to the policy views and try to change them.
Sorry about that. But I mean, if you're a public figure and you say you shouldn't have any personal views, then how are we supposed to know the real you, to know if we should trust you to put you back in such a position to serve the people?
By not answering you 100%, I've answered you.
Okay,
just look inside the answer, you'll find it.
Okay. Right, so I'm going to ask my usual question, right? The Equal Opportunity Act that passed in 2001 explicitly states in its interpretation that sex does not include sexual preference or orientation. However, discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation happens here in Trinidad and Tobago in very serious and even systemic ways. And the Equal Opportunity Act is also supposed to protect people against discrimination in healthcare, as I suppose you know. The Honorable Kamala Prasad-Bissessa said something contradictory to that a couple of days ago, that her stance and she said something that was contradictory to herself, in fact, that her stance and the stance of the party is to protect all Trinbagonians from discrimination regardless of status. But that herself and the party do not have a position on protecting LGBT Trinbagonians, citizens like any other, from discrimination as a result of their sexual orientation, which is a status that they have. What makes this even more confusing is that the People's Partnership Manifesto that recently released explicitly states that it stands for the principle of human rights for all, ensuring that there is no discrimination on the basis of race, religion, gender, place of residence, political affiliation, or sexual orientation. Is the new People's Partnership, as you hope it wins this next term, going to amend the Equal Opportunity Act to actually protect people of different sexual orientation?
All right, I'm going to answer that question twofold. It might be a bit facetious, but it's true. Do you know of any specific situations where somebody discriminated against an LGBT person? Specific?
Yes,
No. Is there, on the application form for that job, did it have, are you LBG on it? LGBT. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transvestite? Was it on that?
Transgender.
And
no, it's usually not on a form.
Then how do people know you're that?
But that doesn't.
If you don't say it.
That's woefully.
No, how does somebody know you belong to that group? So how could you be discriminated against?
First of all, individuals can be discriminated on the basis of assumption, and individuals are discriminated on the basis on assumption, and then also people come out.
How do I know you're not part of that group? I don't know.
You don't, and that's
you don't look
fine,
like that.
But that doesn't change the fact that some individuals.
What I'm saying.
That does
all right,
not
let me go serious now.
That does not change
let me go serious.
Some people
unless
do
you parade yourself
and
like
do
that.
discriminate against people
they can't
on the basis of
against them.
How?
Because they don't know who they are.
Yeah, but some people assume and also find out make discriminatory.
Let me finish up this conversation. Am I finish soon? Section 4 of the Constitution. Read it. It says that no one can be discriminated again in a public institution, full stop. So whatever you are, that protects you.
Dr.
Equal opportunity right, is not as high as a constitution.
Dr. Khan, 10 seconds really quickly here.
Sure.
2 questions. One, why the move for the Children's Hospital from Shoguanas to Couva? And secondly, last year, 2014, medical students had a 1 to 5 failure rate. What is the system in place to fix that? And a third question, really sorry about this.
God.
Third question, what are you doing to restore faith in Mount Hope, or as I am dictated to say, Mount Hopeless?
First question, why did I move it?
Yes.
Simple. There's not enough land in Shoguanas to build a hospital of that caliber. If you were to build a hospital of that caliber, you have no land in Shoguanas to do that. You get a better product where it's located, especially servicing all over. 1 in 5 failure rate for medical students, I've yet to hear that. I find medical students, the most of them pass too easily. So 1 in 5, I think that is incorrect figures. And the third part, was your third part, Mount Hopeless?
Yeah.
That's why, according to your friend Runaka, we build new hospitals. So you have no more Mount Hopeless. They're all JCI accredited.
And ladies and gentlemen, I mean, sometimes in this show, it takes an interesting turn, and we actually got some of the best dialogue and the best exchange, and indeed some of the best questions in the last 5 minutes of the program. We're unfortunately out of time for this edition of the chair, but I can comfortably say both to our audience at home and to our panel here that starting next week we're introducing a second day for the chair, so it means that we're going to have 2 weekly editions of the program. The chair will, of course, be hosted every Tuesday and every Thursday from 9 p.m. so as to ensure that we have an opportunity to accommodate as many of the candidates vying for political positions as much as we can accommodate within the time that's allowed. I want to take time out to thank Dr. Khan for giving of his time and, of course, facing the music for us, as it were. All right, because
I was one of them at one time. Huh?
Oh, right. Well, that is indeed very true. Right. The fact of the matter is, of course, young Trinidad and Tobago. Some of the political analysts have said that you all will be the ones that decide who is going to be the next government of Trinidad and Tobago, given that the numbers are so close, given that the margin is so very tight. And it is our hope, it's our sincere wish here at STV that we get a chance to expose our political exponents, and indeed those of you who will be going to stain your finger, a chance to really communicate one-on-one directly and without any kind of hindrance or any kind of filter, for want of a better phrase. And I think that bit by bit we're achieving that as we move along. So I want to thank you once again for participating. I do hope you continue to come out in your numbers and be a part of the exercise and the process as we expand it next week Tuesday, and indeed, of course, next week Thursday as we introduce the second day. Monday is nomination day, so that means that, of course, the entire thing takes a different spin next week, and we're, of course, looking forward to that with bated breath and great excitement. So once again, thanks to the panel, thank you to Dr. Khan, and thank you, Trinidad and Tobago. Join us next week Tuesday and next week Thursday as we expand and continue with our process here on The Chair. This is STV Real TV. My name is Brian Haynes. Have yourself a good evening and keep watching. There's more to come right here.
For people with citizenship, Lord, them crying relentlessly, yeah.